Alright, so this is my second video. I feel more energized right now. Let's do this. So, again, this is response to Funeral Song 34. This one is going to respond to the comments that were made 6 months ago on my first episode. Not the pilot, but the first episode. It's kind of the same subject, so yeah, let's continue. He says, isn't gold being a commodity, doesn't it go up and down with supply versus demand? Absolutely, or at least it should. But more people don't, buy it. Only a small percentage of the population actually own gold, like 1% or something. I'm talking, it's really small. So that's why the demand isn't all that high. But you say you would simply assume that the population has been probably doubled in the last 50 years, meaning double demand. Also add the fact that gold is used in high-end electronics in the comparison of how many jewelry stores were in 1970 versus today. Sure, I'll buy that. That's why gold was, around $400 an ounce for a very long time. But do you think that demand has really risen that much in that sector, like electronics, that it would go all the way up to $850 for some time, and then it would spike to $1350 right now? I don't think the electronics sector has grown that much in 1 year. I actually think it's gone down in the last year. Jewelry stores, that's probably about the same, but I don't know. I haven't researched. But this comment was made 6 months ago, but it still applies. Actually, it's even more obvious now because it's reached $13.50. Silver has gone up to $26.72, and that's used as a commodity, and that's the whole point. That's why it has intrinsic value, is because it actually is used in other places of in other sectors of the economy, as opposed to just being money. Anyway, let's continue on. He made another comment. I call Obama Bush Light. You know what? I call Obama the same. Actually, I call him worse, but that's okay. He continues most of Bush's policies, absolutely. Problem is, majority of people believe the hype the two parties spew. The only real solution is have a valid third party, and that will never happen in my opinion. I'll stop right there. I don't even think there will be a third party. I think there will be multiple parties, but they'll come out all at the same time. You have the Green Party, you got the Libertarian Party, the Constitution Party, all these other parties. Of course, George Washington, yelled at us, for even starting parties, but that's okay. They simply can't compete with the parties who control the media and have big pockets. Well said. Think about it. They say the average election for a senator or house rep costs $2 million. How is anyone going to compete with that and the name recognition the parties give? Sure, I agree with that. We have a problem. That's really, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Anyway, next comment. I think it was a different video or a different part of the episode. Property taxes and local state taxes are there to support local socialist programs like public schools, libraries, police, fire department, and such things like sidewalks, roads, bridges, along with local government workers. Yes. Property taxes, I think, are wrong and immoral. Property taxes should not exist, because if you own your own land, if you really owned it, And if you own your house, if you are king of your castle, as it were, then property taxes are immoral. They shouldn't exist, because it's basically you're paying rent to the state or the local government or whatever. So no, they shouldn't exist. Local sales tax. Sales tax, even this is a moral thing to some extent. At least, basically all the state wants is a cut of the transaction. And you know what? Neither of you, during the actual transaction, the passage of goods from one person and the passage of the currency or any other good or whatever, nobody owns it. In a way, you could make a case for that. So the state just wants a cut of that. Sure. Sales taxes, and besides, it's not like you guys just want to trade something. It's not like the trade isn't going to happen as long as it's a low tax. So, in a way, you can make a moral case for that. So, I guess property taxes are wrong in the first place. If you own your land and if you've been there for like 10 years, why be taxed? You just want to live. You want to be left alone. So anyway, but yeah, all of this is for a common good. Sidewalks, roads, and bridges, or whatever. Oh, and police and fire and all this. But you can't do that. Anyway, the states get money from the federal government to divide up to local communities, but it's not enough to support all that I listed. You're correct. And besides, that's backwards. The states shouldn't be getting money from the federal government. The federal government should be asking for money from the states, basically just taxing the states. That's the original intent of the Constitution, actually. Unapportioned tax. And there shouldn't be any income tax on your own personal income. If you if you tax people less, people would be thriving right now. If you didn't tax the poor to give the poor money, which is backwards, they would be thriving right now. If people were able to just transact with each other, feel some emotion for that person, the poor person, then I'm rambling in a way, but if the people were able to give money to the poor without a tax, then there would be no problem. Of course, giving money to the poor wouldn't solve the problem. They'd need to find a job. That would solve their problem. But and that's the whole point. The state hinders this. The government, any government, and I mean the state as in, the libertarian viewpoint of the state, as opposed to, just a state as we know it, Massachusetts, New York, and all this. Got a minute left. I gotta finish up this comment. So, I really don't see how you can support your community without paying property taxes. Do you? Yes, I do. I hope I made that clear. I probably didn't, but you can support your community by giving to the community. It would have nothing to do with the government. If the government got out of the way and allowed people to freely donate, there's no problem. And you said, I mean, no cop or teacher is working for free. Absolutely. But you see private teachers, don't you? And you see private security guards, don't you? We don't need cops as they are right now, especially where all they're doing is just ticketing for speeding and all this stuff. They don't really help you. Come on, when was the last time you saw them actually help much? Much. I do know some good people, good cops around here. Even Lowell. Lowell's actually pretty good. Massachusetts is pretty good for cops, I'd say. But when you go out to Arizona, we have a problem. Anyway, I gotta end it right here. I'll take it off from here.